My name is Paul Shelley, welcome to the AstroHistorian, and welcome to the lore tours of IAE 2952. Join me on the floor for your tour. It's Anvil Aerospace Day on the floor of IAE. Today we'll be going over a brief history of Anvil as a manufacturer before talking about the lore of the ships on the floor. Remember, if you like this, be sure to hit the subscribe button, as we'll be doing a video for every manufacturer every day during IAE. With that being said, let's learn about the new favorite military manufacturer from Terra. Anvil Aerospace started life as Case Aerospace in 2623. Leonard Case was an RSI engineer who had developed the direct descendant of the modern Aurora, but got fed up with the bureaucratic red tape of Robert Space Industries and left to start his own company. There he made the Cosmos Sloop, a yacht designed to be simple to fly. Unfortunately, the sales didn't do well because it was released in 2604, just a year before the outbreak of the Second Tavaran War. However, the war brought new opportunities to Case, as the Navy needed something to counter the new phalanx shields of the Tavaran fleet. Working with his team, Case developed the Hurricane, a design to imitate the defensive Jackal Tavaran fighters, but with an offensive turret. The design proved effective and got the interest of the Mezzers, who gave the new up-and-coming manufacturer a contract to replace the aging Persei as a long-range patrol craft to counter the Qian. Unfortunately, Case was killed in an in-atmosphere collision, and the Navy lost interest without his participation. The Hurricane was slowly phased out, and Case Aerospace would be bought out by an investment group in 2623, but it wasn't the end of the legacy of Case. J. Harris Arnold became obsessed with Leonard Case, who was mostly forgotten by the mid-28th century. Arnold loved everything about his design, including the curved wings and open circle signet, so he created his own company in 2772 in Nova Kiev on Terra, Anvil Aerospace. He took heavy inspiration from Case's style. The name of the company is in reference to Robert Calvin's famous quote, justifying UAE expansionism, that military spending fuels the furnaces of expansion and strikes the anvils of innovation. While struggling to break into the military market early on, with the fall of the Mezzers and Aegis's fall from grace, Anvil managed to get their shot when they were tapped to design the rugged Forward Scout, which would become known as the Terrapin in 2796. This led them to being picked to replace the Avenger in 2806 with their iconic F-7A Hornet. It was then that Anvil cemented the future of military spacecraft, not just with their designs, but with their dual civilian and military lines. As civilian pilots were clamoring for better combat ships in the uncertain times of the post-Mezzer era, many had requested civilian versions of the Hornet before the ship had even made it to the ranks of the Navy. Anvil requested permission from the UAE, who gave them their blessing. Thus, the F-7C was created, birthing a tradition that continues to this day in Anvil Aerospace. Anvil has been slowly replacing Aegis as the main military manufacturer of the UAE ever since, and have helped establish Terra as a main hub of future spacecraft development. However, as they began to rise in prominence, the similarities between Anvil and Case ships drew the attention of the company that owned the rights to Case ships, who sued Anvil for infringement. However, by then, Anvil was a darling of the industry, so as a counteroffer, Arnold just bought the rights for the inflated price, in order to be the true owner of Case's legacy. Now let's look at what Anvil has to offer on the floor of IAE today. The U-4 Terrapin is an armored scout ship used by the UAE Navy. Built as part of the restructuring of the post-Mezzer Navy, this ship was designed to be used for overwatch, long-endurance picket, and to boost recon capabilities of the fleet. Its main deployment was into border systems, which the Navy didn't have the resources to send a capital ship to monitor, and it performed its job admirably. With a max crew of 2, oversized scanning array, and armor so thick it overheated the ship without the addition of a cooling vents, the ship was well suited for its role. Because of its ease of maintenance, reliability, and reputation for surviving incredible amounts of damage, it was loved by its crews, so much so that it was often purchased surplus by veterans when they got out of the service. This may have been the impetus for Anvil to begin selling all their military ships to both civilian and military markets at the same time. The next ship from Anvil is the best space fighter in human history, the F-7 Hornet. Built to replace the Aegis Avenger, this medium fighter has a reputation for excellence. Since its introduction in 2806, the ship has logged more combat time and kills in more theaters than any other ship in the history of space combat. It was built to deal with the Qian and Vanduul simultaneously, and was incredibly effective at countering both, while showing great results against pirates. It was also built for the civilian market and military market at the same time, and has proved popular for both for almost 150 years. Utho Riley, the famed ace of celebrated Squadron 42, was so enamored by the Hornet that she famously said, "Give me a fully loaded Hornet and I will shake the gates of heaven." She meticulously tested every ship she was ever assigned during her early career, and all of them failed her tests until she found the Hornet. Not only was it the best ship for her needs, but she found it almost impossible to beat for its flexibility. She famously said, "There wasn't a scenario or loadout that I could put the Hornet through that it couldn't find its way out of. It was like the damn ship was doomed to succeed." In honor of her service, Anvil released a special version of the F-7C called the Wildfire, with Utho Riley's all-purpose loadout. In 2923, the F-7C Hornet, the civilian variant, got an overhaul to update it with more modern technologies. This process was so successful that the F-7A, the military version, also underwent a refit to bring it up to modern UAE standards in 2946. This was teamed with the F-7C getting specialized versions for the civilian market that same year, those of which include the F-7CS Ghost, which is a stealth paint applied to its hull to create a stealth variant, the F-7CT Tracker, which has a Willis-Op long-look radar equipped to turn it into a scanning ship, and the F-7CM Super Hornet, which is a two-seat version, which is as close to the military spec Hornet as the UAE would allow. The Valkyrie has a bit of a strange past, as it was actually developed before the UAE even requested it. In 2802, as Anvil was deep into the development of the Hornet, Anvil wanted to make a non-combat ship for the military, but had no idea what to make. So they fed the data on future needs of the military into an analytical supercomputer at the Lewandowski Institute on Terra. What they got back was the prediction that the UAE would need a heavy troop dropship to retake systems from the Vanduul. Thus, the Valkyrie began development. So in 2810, when the UAE requested a heavy troop dropship, not only did Anvil apply, but had the prototype already ready to go. Needless to say, it was accepted and has become the prime dropship of the UAE Army and Navy ever since. The civilian versions of the ship are often used by surveyors and prospectors who find the ability to transport large numbers of personnel and light vehicles quickly and safely to multiple sites to be an effective tool. The next vehicle from Anvil is actually three. The Atlas chassis was developed sometime before 2822 as part of the retooling of the military in the post-Meser era. The UAE needed a flexible platform for multiple roles, and their go-to manufacturer of ground vehicles, Tumbrel Land Systems, was in the middle of its slow decline. So the UAE turned to Anvil to help. Today, the Atlas has three known variants that have made it to civilian life: the anti-air missile platform known as the Ballista, the anti-air gun platform known as the Centurion, and the armored personnel carrier known as the Spartan. The same year the Atlas was released, another famed Anvil ship made its debut: the Carrack. Developed out of a classified disaster of the loss of a capital ship while it was performing a science mission, the Carrack was a top-secret ship at its inception. It is the first dedicated exploration and survey ship built for the military, and they hold many endurance records, including being the only ship to study the outer Oort cloud of the 194 AU Killian system. Famously, the classified disaster, coupled with very secret tech installed on the Carrack, prevented the ship from being developed for the civilian market alongside its military cousin. It took almost 100 years for the civilian version to be released, and in doing so, caused a wave of enthusiasm for exploration. The darling of this week's show is also connected to the Carrack, as part of the program for developing the ship was a bespoke snub craft known as the C-8 Pisces. This year, Anvil released a variant of the snub to work as a rescue ambulance equipped with a Tier 3 auto-dock medical bed. This is sure to excite more interest in search and rescue in the near future. Next on this list is both the oldest ship of Anvil, but at the same time not, the A4 Hurricane. The Hurricane was first developed by Case Aerospace for the Second Varan War. However, it was phased out of UAE service after the death of Case himself. During the return of the Vanduul threat in the late 29th century, Anvil re-released the updated Hurricane in 2871. To much fanfare and success. During the fall of Calvan, it proved very effective clearing out Vanduul fighter wings, clearing paths for civilian evacuation. This achievement has cemented its place in the Navy and Marine fleets. The key to this ship's success is its firepower. It is a two-seater heavy fighter with a gunner controlling a massive quad size 3 turret, which has almost 360-degree view of the battlefield, allowing for devastating alpha strike capabilities combined with zoom and boom tactics. It has become a favorite of both military and militia alike. The T-8 Gladiator bomber has a colorful history, to say the least. Developed in 2890, this ship was publicly stated to be the first in a new naval doctrine of carrier-based torpedo bombers. But in reality, it was a more shameful history. Starting life as the T-3 Gladiator, the ship was designed to carry a revolutionary, self-guided, stealth, shield-skipping torpedo known as the multi-vector torpedo. The MVT needed a ship close enough to the target to keep the final destination targeted for it to follow, so the Gladiator was designed to do just that. The only issue was that the MVT was a scam. Nothing but a torpedo with some off-the-shelf parts stuck to it. Rather than admit that they were had, the Navy retooled the Gladiator to make the T-8 and hailed it as a carrier bomber that could protect itself with its gunner seat. This proved disastrous, and it was made worse by the Gladiator squadrons being used as dumping grounds for pilots with poor performance and attitudes. It took a rework of naval doctrine to accommodate the ship, and proper training for its crews before the ship began to show its worth, especially in the hands of the famed Black Crows of Squadron 214. This bomber is highly modular, with its torpedo bay being able to be swapped out for smaller missiles, a command and control module, environmental manipulation, supply pod, and even a medical search and rescue bay. The ship is armed with even more missiles on the wings, and 2 pilot-controlled and 2 gunner-controlled Size 3 mounts. The F-8 Lightning was built as a replacement for the aging Hornet in 2933, likely beating out the Scorpius and Sabre for the next-generation fighter contest. This ship is a culmination of everything Anvil learned about fighting the Bandul and is slowly replacing the old Aegis fighters like the Gladius and the older Anvil Hornets to become the main fighter of the UAE. The most famous of these ships belong to the reckless 999th Test Squadron, who often perform air shows with their custom livery F-8s. The key to this heavy fighter's success is in its armor and sheer volume of fire. With 6 Size 3 and 2 Size 4 weapon mounts, along with 2 Size 3 missile mounts, this ship can decimate any fighter in its class. With its hardened armor, the ship can withstand withering amounts of fire and still punch back. While the military versions of the ship are slowly rolling out, a civilian variant is also in the works and is set to arrive soon. The next ship is the U-9 Hawk, the result of Project Brawler in 2937. The Anvil Hawk is a bit of an awkward ship, designed to do a number of missions with very little overlap between them. The ship's main roles are close-range dogfighting, logistics support, and ground attack missions, all of which it does well, though that's all it really does well. The key to its adoption was its usage of several standard Hornet parts to make maintenance and supply chains easier to manage. The Hawk has struggled to find its place in the UAE Navy, as wherever it's deployed, it does its job so well that the criminals it's deployed against just stay off planets for fear of being attacked and stay far away from the ship in a dogfight. However, the civilian market has absolutely devoured the ship, with its unique mission profile making it perfect for bounty hunters. The ship has 2 Size 1 and 4 Size 2 weapon mounts, with a small EMP and containment pod for prisoner transport. Civilian users have even been modifying their Hawks since the civilian debut. The 2 most popular modifications are the Upgun Dire Hawk and the Stealth Shadow Hawk. The former is said to be in the works to be adopted as an official variant. One of the latest ships from Anvil is the nimble and deadly Arrow. With the retirement of the Gladius ongoing, many manufacturers have stepped up to try to be the next great light fighter for the UAE. Anvil's entry is the Arrow, which was released in 2948. This is a nimble and deadly ship which trades Anvil's signature heavy armor for speed and maneuverability. It still has the characteristic heavy guns of Anvil with 2 Size 1 and 2 Size 3 hardpoints. The last 3 ships are not available on the verse, but will be soon. The Legionnaire is a breacher ship designed to dock with other ships with a cargo full of 8 angry Marines and their gear, who then breach the doors to storm the ship. The ship also comes with a dedicated hacking device for overriding locks of ships if possible for some light electronic warfare capabilities. The Liberator is Anvil's light transport, designed to move small numbers of ships and vehicles to the front lines. Part carrier, part landing craft, this ship has 3 small pads on top and a garage capable of holding 2 vehicles like the Atlas or snub ships like the Pisces, with additional storage as well. The Crucible is a flying garage, capable of repairing and refitting small ships on the go. This flying toolbox, as it has been affectionately dubbed, is perfect for any mobile repairs. It has an enclosed and detachable repair bay called the Anvil Scarab, and has remote repair arms and a crew of up to 8. That's what's on offer here on the Anvil floor of IAE 2952. Make sure to come down and check out all of the ships on the floor for free for a limited time. If you haven't already signed up for Star Citizen, then use the referral code on screen now or in the description to sign up for free and try them out yourself. I'd like to thank you for watching and remind you to subscribe for more videos from the floor of IAE 2952. And if you enjoyed the video, think about leaving a like. If you really want to help out the channel, think about becoming a YouTube member or Patreon. For now, let me know your thoughts on Anvil in the comments below. And as always, remember, ex historia ad astra.